Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to hear about the case for social enterprise in a COVID-19 world. This is the first in a series of talks organised by the University of Westminster and by members of the course team of the MSc Social Enterprise. I'm the course leader, and today I'm delighted to introduce Darryl Kofkin, module leader of the project module, who is going to lead today's session along with his invited guests. So over to you, Darryl.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Joy, and good afternoon, everybody. And thank you to our panelists this afternoon. The subject for this afternoon is social enterprise in a COVID world, and what is the case for social enterprise in this world? We're all facing struggles and challenges across the world, and the pandemic has forced many companies to pivot their business model and to look for new opportunities. So as Joy says, we're introducing a new MSc in social enterprise, really to focus in on new developments in community interest companies in the UK, but also more globally. And so we take a very global approach, which is why today I'm delighted to be joined by panelists from both England, Rwanda and Wales with us this afternoon. So indeed, we do have a very global panel this afternoon. So I'm going to turn off my webcam at some point because I think that sometimes helps with connectivity issues. So if I do disappear, have no fear. So can I introduce my panel today? On my left, I've got Regis from Rwanda. Regis, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Tell us a bit about you, where you are in the world, and what you do.
Thank you, Darle. My name is Regis Mugiraneza. I'm running a social enterprise called Car Group. So Car Group is a youth-led company. We do sweet potato processing. I hope you guys know this kind of sweet potatoes. So we make bread from that sweet potatoes. So which is very nutritious bread compared to the white bread. So we are based in Rwanda, Kigali. And we are working with, of course, more than 1,000 farmers across the country.
Great, thank you. And we're going to come back so you can share your story with us more during the session. I'm also joined by ex-Welsh international footballer Kelly Davis, who runs a very successful organisation in Wales. Kelly, good afternoon to you. Do you want to say a bit about who you are and what your social enterprise is?
Yeah, so good afternoon. My name's Kelly Davis and I'm the co-founder of the Good Wash Company. We're a luxury wash and lifestyle brand created in Wales on a mission to change the world one wash at a time. So we sell luxury hand wash and hand lotion and soaps, and then we reinvest our profits to do good, and I'll probably talk about that a bit later, but it runs right the way through our business model.
Kelly, thank you. And so it's great. We've got a young social entrepreneur from Rwanda who's utilizing what's happening in the farming community and turning farming product into a consumable good. And Kelly, great to hear from you in terms of your skincare, beauty care, body care range, and what you're doing for the Welsh community as well. So we've got two social entrepreneurs, and we're also being joined today by an innovation expert, global innovation expert, Jillian Youngs. Jillian, are you there? Can you hear us? Is Jillian there? Hopefully Jillian will join us in the show, in the session. Anurag, are you there? Anurag. Hi.
I can hear.
Anurag.
Can you hear?
Super, I can hear you. Good to hear from you. Now, Anurag, I list you as founder of LinkCos and an investor in startups. So tell us a bit about who you are and what your passions are. To introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, it's a bit confusing who I am. I am somebody who is helping people succeed in this time. I have had the privilege to experience or work in over 50 countries, and right now I'm helping a lot of startups, businesses, individuals succeed especially in COVID times, mostly spending a lot of time helping people in Africa, India, and UK. I'm also a board director in many companies, banks, for World Bank, IFC, so I wear many hats. And I'm mentoring a lot of people as people go through tough times.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Anurag. So, Jillian, are you with us? Okay, hopefully we can get Jillian's sound right. So what I wanted to do is you mentioned something quite right, Anurag. We're facing very tough times, and this was unprecedented times in certainly our lifetime. So I'd just like to put the question to both of our social entrepreneurs who come from different parts of the world. So Kelly, COVID-19 came upon us with the lockdown. I mean, what impact did that have for your business and your enterprise?
I think, well, for us, it was probably a different challenge, really. As soon as the Prime Minister said that if you wash your hands, you can help save lives, our demand went literally through the roof overnight, really. And we were still a relatively new startup, so it really did hit us, not only from that point and operationally how we were going to cope with that to fulfill that demand, but then also it gave us the challenge of we're facing a massive crisis here in the UK and Wales at the time, and how do we show what Good Wash really does, and how do we react to the fact that we can help in some way, and we can step forward and show that we really do say what we do. So we decided that we wanted to create wash packages so that they could go out to the NHS, to key workers, to the local community via food banks and local charities. And we thought that by doing that, we would be able to always make sure that people could get the amount that they needed, because to suddenly ask somebody on a low income to be able to wash regularly and often, it's a lot of money. So we wanted to be able to sort that out. We also wanted to be able to show that if somebody's working really hard to help save lives in hospitals, at the end of the day, if they go to a supermarket and they can't get hold of a hand wash, we were able to do it, and they could also get in the shower and think, actually, this is a really good luxury product that makes us feel better and revitalize it. So in the end, we thought maybe we would do maybe 1,000 wash products. They're all done by hand, and we exceeded 20,000 that we donated back. Wow. So it was a challenge in a different way, but it has been very positive for us in many aspects.
Sure. So you pivoted your business, as you said, you were a relatively new startup, and you suddenly were hit by COVID, and you pivoted your model to meet the opportunity that was happening. And as you said, what operational challenges were you facing? What operational challenges did you have to overcome?
I think we were set up as a startup, and we were very much we'd progressed from being on the kitchen table into a small unit, but we didn't anticipate being a full-blown manufacturer, and because everything's done by hand and we had a small team. So to cut a long story short, to not close the business down, we literally had to take the whole operation to my parents' house. And we literally did, because they had the space and they were able to deal with it, and we were able to make sure that the team was safe and it was contained and we wouldn't be forced to shut down. So we literally for the first quarter, I lived at home back with the parents, and we operated from there. So I was very fortunate that I had that, really.
Wow. Fantastic, great. Thank you for sharing that. And Regis, coming to you, you have different experiences in Rwanda. So just tell us a bit about, how did you first create the idea of your sweet potato bread? I mean, show it again. It's an orange flesh sweet potato.
There's
Here's the bread.
That is bread.
And where's the sweet potato? So you wanted to find a way of bringing these two worlds together. How did that start for you?
Okay. Thank you, Dad.
How did you tell us your story?
Yeah, simply, Rwanda is among the highest producer of sweet potatoes in sub-Saharan Africa. And we experience sometimes the surplus of the sweet potatoes in Rwanda due to the cultural barriers. Since I think in 1980s, the Rwanda population, they was eating sweet potatoes in boiled way. So around 7% nowadays, they still growing sweet potatoes. But since before genocide against Tutsi happened in Rwanda in 1994, every single household was growing sweet potatoes. So it was a basic food in that years. So later, after genocide, there was different options of food, other foods like rice, maize, potatoes coming on board. So people were having different options of food. So they started forget the sweet potatoes as a basic food. So, but when you go in a rural area, you find that every single household they still growing sweet potatoes, even though there are those kind of options, many options of other foods, which is expensive compared to the sweet potatoes they grow within their small scale area. And I remember in 2003, there was a huge surplus of sweet potatoes. And that time, even the government started banning sweet potatoes. They say, you know, you have to grow maize, rice, or those cash crops. We used to call it cash crops, and then forget about sweet potatoes. So that time, they started even feeding the sweet potato to animals. We were experiencing sometimes, you know, they were taking a basket of sweet potato on the market, and then when they didn't get any buyer, they just keep it in the market. It was a waste at that time. So, and then later, when I attended the university, I did agriculture economics and agribusiness. The time I was in the third year, looking at a subject I can do for my thesis, I looked around, and as a person who did agribusiness, I was looking something that can be or can create value addition to our local production. So I went through different crops of Rwanda, and I realized that sweet potato is now considered as a useless crop.
A useless crop.
Yes, useless crop. And I decided to work on that, to know why people are taking it as a useless crop, why we have been eating for so long that sweet potatoes as basic food. So the time I was doing my research, that's where I found that we have different types of varieties here. And there is a one which is very nutritious compared to the others, which is the orange fresh sweet potatoes. And I realized that we can do something from that sweet potatoes, and starting convincing people, instead of eating in a fresh or boiled way, they can eat in the other way. That's where after my thesis, of course, I did on the sweet potatoes, and then after my thesis, I decided to open a company with my colleagues. We went to the high school together, and then we started producing donuts. We tried the bread, we tried the crisps, we tried so many products. But later we say let's focus on two products, which is bread and biscuits. So now we can say that this bread, which is made from sweet potatoes, is the only bread in Kigali which has the standard certification in the whole town. So when you look at the market acceptance of it, Recently, we did the market research, and around 95%, they were all like it due to the tasty. It's natural. It has sugar, natural sugar, no oil we put there. So we just use natural sweet potatoes to make the bread. And when you compare to the existing bread, it's really delicious in terms of tasty, softness, and the other kind of factors that are making the bread to be more special. So that's how
Good.
the idea came in. Now where it is now, we are selling it over 35 supermarkets across the country, across Kigali, and we are working now over 1,000 farmers, and we're still pushing even to work to many more farmers across the country.
Great. And I think there's a great example there of how you have developed an enterprise by recognizing the challenges facing society, i.e. these useless crops, and how you've helped the farmers and turning it into a value-added product in your society. I mean, again, coming back to you, Kelly, what inspired you to, I mean, you've been a footballer, you've created apps as well. Your co-founder, I think, comes from a commercial sector world. So what was it that motivated you to come in, to develop a CIC, a social enterprise? What was that for you? Why did you do that?
Yeah, so the Good Wash company is my second social enterprise. So I started the first one about 10 years ago called Viability, that trained young people how to run football clubs, and it was hugely successful in terms of going to, I think it was 16 European countries, and we were probably the leaders in being able to show the power of football, what it can do, and how facilities can be anything other than a football club. So they could be a college, an educational unit, pharmacy, and we were at the front of that. And if I'm being honest, it went really, really well. I was doing really well. We were winning lots of awards. We transformed over 10,000 lives, and we could count every single one. It wasn't about numbers, and it was long-term change. It wasn't just a short impact, short outcome. It was, we were having major impact on the lives of young people. And I burnt out, if I'm being honest. I sat on a train, started to question whether I was enjoying it anymore, or did I have the energy to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I decided to step away and hand the baby over, which we could talk for another hour on getting that right. But I very soon and quickly got to a stage where I wanted to get back into social enterprise, because I feel it's the right model for business. And I thought that if we could, the more money you have, the more good you could do. And actually, what I wanted to do is show people that if you took a commercial product to the mass market, you could create money to then do the good that sometimes, you know, it's, you run out of money, or it's really hard at times to rely on funding. Take that away. And that I was doing a talk like this, and Mandy, one of the other co-founder, was a corporate, and she was questioning the bigger purpose, and I was like, didn't have an idea, just wanted to test the model, make a commercial product to market, make as much profit as you can, reinvest it, do good, and that will inspire others to do it. And we literally sat and said, is it chocolate, is it bread, is it, and we wanted it to be Welsh, is it an alcoholic drink, is it, and we identified that in Wales there was no Welsh brand that Wales could really get behind as a nation that was luxury and that used all the natural ingredients. And so we decided to launch the Good Wash company, and we haven't looked back since then, really. So it was more of a case of showing, actually, A, that, you know, this is a model, the model of the future. B, we want to create as much money as we possibly can to do good. And C, we wanted to to be able to have a greater influence on consumers and say, actually, it's really important for you to consider the power of how you spend your money, because if you've got money to spend, be it £1 or £10 or £50, that can really have a bigger difference on wider society. So although it's wash products, the purpose behind it is that really.
Yeah, sure. And so do you specifically focus on, there's a lot of talk, Regis and Kelly, there's a lot of talk in terms of sustainable development goals and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in terms of helping businesses frame how they can contribute to social and environmental problems. So for you, Kelly, has that been important to you, thinking about the UN SDGs, or are those things you're still considering?
No, what we are, well, from day one, we always said that we weren't going to have a specific cause, which actually caused quite a lot of controversy, maybe in the sector at times, and pushbacks, because they were like, oh, you really need to buy one and give one, so you should give a hand wash and give one, or, you know, you should say you're specifically targeting homelessness, and we were like, actually, no, we want to contribute to a variety of things, and we knew about the sustainable goals, and we could say, well, we could contribute towards not having poverty, we could say this, we want to contribute towards sanitation, we want to, and there was loads of things, so we kept it really broad to be able to give us the flexibility to identify, to be able to respond to need, really. So like in the COVID case, we were able to turn around and go, oh, we can react to this. So it has played a part. And also in Wales, we have the Future Generations Act, which I think we're one of the first countries to do. So that had a big part to play in it as well.
Sure. And you as you say, you're distinctly wanted to create a Welsh brand, a made in Wales brand. And again, in the COVID times, the research suggests that people really want to buy local, whether it's bread from Rwanda, you know, made in Rwanda products, or made in Wales products. Have you found that also has been a point of difference that you can promote?
Well, it has, but I had this conversation the other day, because a lot of people were saying, because we have the Welsh on the, it's very subtle, I'm not sure if you can see it, we do have the Welsh there.
Yeah, I've seen on the website.
And people, when we launched it, they instantly said, "Oh, that you're going to limit yourself there. You're going to be very niche. Who's going to want to buy a bottle of Welshness in London or in France, or, you know, in the US, or you're limiting?" No, actually, it hasn't. It's actually made us really, really unique. And actually, there's a lot of Welsh people across the world that also have friends and family, and they're really proud of being Welsh. So it's helped us locally because they feel that connected, but then it's also tapped in really to our benefit around the world, really. I mean, we shipped 4 pallets over to Ireland and France, and, you know, so we know now that actually there are Welsh products sat in washrooms all around the world, and it's not held us back, actually, and people really like that, so it's been a benefit for us.
Yeah, and that comes through on your website as well. You're utilizing Welsh language and English language, and it's great that people were buying into a Welsh product as they are buying into a Rwandan product. I just wonder, Anurag, I know you have to go shortly, and hopefully you can hear me, so maybe you can unmute your mic. Listening to our wonderful entrepreneurs from Rwanda and from Wales today, you know, what are you currently seeing are the challenges, but also the opportunities for the young entrepreneurs, and perhaps why business is so important in terms of supporting problems in.
See, the way I see it is COVID has been an opportunity as well. It's a great leveler. All of us are online. You know, I was mentoring a startup, Kelly, the sportswoman, she will appreciate. This startup had prepared everything for Euros and Champions League last year and Olympics. They were a gaming app out of Africa. Suddenly no sports. And now I'm helping them get primary education for kids in Africa at $1 a day. Anybody of you wants to help support primary education? $1 a month, you can get primary education in Malawi, Kenya, Nigeria, and maybe soon Rwanda. So we use gaming applications. Imagine teaching a kid, and Kelly would appreciate geography and show them Ronaldo. You can teach them everything about Portugal. So we're bringing in gaming techniques. Now they are getting into training. Training is so boring. You are on Zoom, sitting, sleeping. They're putting in Sudoku or gamification. So I feel that what COVID times has done, it has made us all innovate. Job creation in UK, lots of people were hiring care workers. People were using snorkeling equipment for oxygen masks. I have seen so much stuff around education, so much of online education. Now think of Clubhouse. How many of us knew what is Clubhouse? Today it's going to be a new unicorn. So I personally believe in three areas: in job creation, education, and very importantly, well-being. You know, there's so much of mental health, fitness, and lots of people have created a huge business in the last 6 months. In UK, we have seen celebrities who have been teaching people exercises, yoga. My own daughter has become a fitness guru and enthusiast and influencer. So I feel, I also mentor a technology company. Now everybody is working from home. Whether you are an IBM or you are a small startup, you are working from home. So they can go and get more clients. The biggest USP this particular tech company said, they said everybody is doing furloughing, everybody is firing people. Guess what? We are hiring. I was speaking to the founder yesterday. He said we hired 100 people every single month. And guess what? They have won more and more businesses. So I'm helping. So to me, this boundary between social and commercial is blurring. You go with a social mindset that you want to help, but if you make money, no harm, put it back. Because unless you're getting a grant or somebody is funding you like a Bill Gates Foundation, you have to sustain yourself. To me, the boundaries are blurring. So you go with the society, you want to help people succeed, you want to help people get jobs, you want to help people to be healthy and welfare. It's good, but in the process, now look at food delivery. So much of food delivery is happening. All these so-called shops in UK have created food baskets. You can go online, order 25-pound food basket. Everywhere now, so much delivery is happening. Now they've also created no-touch delivery. You don't even have to touch, things get sanitized. So I am seeing this spectrum across the globe, that people are innovating faster using technology, and everybody is getting tech savvy. And it's not just smartphones. I have used SMS feature phones, how you can do things by SMS and reach even absolutely rural tribal areas in Ghana and Kenya. So we are able to see the technology has become a good leveler, and I'm personally very, very excited. It is tough. Funding is dried down. Banks, I'm also a banker. Banks are not lending because we don't know whether our customer is going to pay. But if we are creative, I feel this is a great time for startups, both social and commercial. And partnership is the main of the game. If we can create association, alliances, partnerships, not within the country, cross borders. So Regis, let's talk offline. Let me see what you need. Can I help you get people in Europe or Kenya or India to get you something you wanted to do? Why reinvent the wheel? There's so much going on. How can we bridge the borders? And I feel I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Good. Thank you. And I know I think you have to go now. So thank you.
I'll try to
you
on the phone. I can continue listening, and then at the end I can take some questions.
All right, brilliant. Thank you. That's a good point. I mean, if anybody is listening in that has got any questions to ask any of our panelists today, please drop a message in the chat box, and we will be very happy to put those questions to the panelists. So please do that. If you've got any questions at all, please just write them in the chat box and we will do that. I can see that Jillian's now joined us.
Finally.
So I will hopefully come to you in a second, Jillian.
Can you hear me?
Great to see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Great. We'll come to you in a second. Welcome, Jillian. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Hello. Regis, I wanted to come on to you because, again, Kelly talks quite rightly about being proud of her country and developing a brand that is now being purchased by people outside of Wales, and so it should be. It's a great product. And how have you also recognised the opportunity for Made in Rwanda products? And what would, again, do you think that's important in terms of developing a product that is really, steeped in the country itself?
Yeah, thank you, Dalo. Actually, yeah, the government of Rwanda has started promoting made in Rwanda products, of course, to increase the economy of the country, but also increasing or reducing the deficit between what we import and what we export. And as entrepreneur, of course, we have to take that advantage to think even beyond our country. That's why we after bread, we are going to launch biscuits, which is now already in the developing stage, because the equipment is there. We are just waiting for some few technical stuff to put it on market. So that will be a high value added product where it will be distributed across the country, but also we are targeting even to export it to our neighbors, like in Congo, in Tanzania, in Uganda. But even the bread, we have been seeing different requests from other countries in Africa, mostly in sub-Saharan Africa. So where they are asking us to at least to partner with them or to set up the bakery there, because they do also grow sweet potatoes at the highest level. So we are thinking on taking our brand as my sister said, to even global, not only in Rwanda but also global. And we wish, according to what we are seeing, we have been receiving requests from almost 11 countries across just in Africa. So to set up the bakery there to make the sweet potato, it shows how people are really tireless of eating gluten stuff, wheat product all the time. So it has been a long time people consuming the wheat-based product alone. So we want to introduce other product that can be substitute to the wheat and can be made from other ingredients like sweet potatoes.
Super. And it's clear listening to you and also to Kelly that you're both very passionate about your brands. You're passionate about what you're doing. You're passionate about the good that you are doing in society, whether it's helping Rwandan farmers or whether it's actually encouraging people to, you know, take on board a Welsh product and to do good with the profit. As you said, Kelly, you haven't got a specific cause, but there's a number of causes that you are happy and welcome to support. If I could just come on to Jillian. Jillian joined us. Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Jillian Youngs.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Apologies for my hiccups.
Hi.
I assumed it was a software I knew. I don't know this software, so apologies. I come hot foot from a state-of-the-art social enterprise discussion this morning, which just confirmed a few of the points I wanted to make about the work that I'm doing. I've been working with digital social enterprises for about 25 years around the world, and in a lot of my work I do, I've sort of lived on the margins, often happily and unhappily, as one does. But I'm glad to say those interests, along with a lot of other things on the margins now, are center stage. So in fact, you know, social enterprises in the era of COVID and beyond, for all sorts of reasons, are not the exception. They're a place where a lot of entities want to be, and which is going to bring a lot of new innovation in. This session I was taking a part in was about tech, but I also had another discussion afterwards with a young leader who's working across the board in non-tech as well as tech entrepreneurship. And one of the topics that came up in this discussion at government level was about agriculture, and how this is very important for a country like Rwanda, but many other countries and many parts of Great Britain, including the county where I live, Lincolnshire. So it's fantastic to see an area like agriculture come more centre stage in the field of social enterprise. But one of the things that struck me in this discussion, where the tech social enterprise person was really on the money, really up to speed with this, was talking about brand and core mission, and how I've experienced this just working generally with entrepreneurs, how crucial it is to stay core to your core mission, while also being aware of the new opportunities that situations like COVID, of course, bring back for you. And this spoke to me so strongly. And the other area was the whole user-centered issue and the whole importance of research. And it being that most entrepreneurs really have a shortfall on testing their proposition right from idea stage with their potential users and customers. And I think social enterprises, in my experience, and I would talk about myself in this way, have a special challenge in a way, in that this passion that Daryl talks about, and I'm a strong supporter of, can also, I think, sometimes be a bit of an enemy in softening you. And what I came away from these two discussions today and this participation in this seminar today was, my takeaway was, we've got to sharpen our act in the social enterprise area. And we've got to learn from a lot of entrepreneurs across the board at how tough it is to come up with a value proposition that really has legs and that really is worthwhile. And the other issue that came up, I'll finish on this point, and because it's particularly relevant to the work that Daryl and I do, but I'm sure to your work as well, Kelly and Regis, partnership. Partnership now is entering another age. And I've worked on partnership and collaboration all my career, so this is another thing I'm thrilled about. There's going to be a lot of innovation in partnership. And one of the contributors was talking about your value proposition in that area as well. The importance of talking to players in your area, players who are working in the space you want to work in, and learning from them and being open to the fact that there might be collaborative possibilities. So I'm so excited to be joining this seminar and sharing with colleagues now at a time when, I think social enterprises are going to be leading in a way that they haven't before. But I'm dead keen that those of us with experience can really lead on best practice, can really be in a position to share our propositions and our journeys in a way that's powerful and helps others.
Thank you. It's time that you've joined us. That's great. And as you say, building brand and being clear about your mission and partnership and collaboration certainly has come through as a result of the COVID time. I'm just wondering, Kelly, does that chime with you? How did you building your brand, and how does, in terms of collaborative partnerships, is that an area that you're beginning to explore for your organization in terms of supply?
Listening to Jillian, then it's just, if you've, I've been a social entrepreneur for 10 years now, and when she says the stuff, and you can see it's happening, we are at a time now where I completely do believe that social enterprises are going to be, that's where people want to be, and it's been a long time coming, but there's this wave is now falling upon us, and it only makes it exciting, doesn't it? And I think the key is as well, we've got a responsibility here to lead and to share and to really do that. So I think straight away it's sort of, that makes me smile an awful lot. So thanks, Jillian, for that as well, because it's a big impact. Sometimes it reinforces stuff. We were, the co-founder Mandy straight away was from a marketing background and a branding background, so I think that really helped us, and it really helped maybe bringing somebody that has a branding and marketing expertise alongside an out and out maybe social entrepreneur. The two have just really welded well together, and as a result of that, we've been able to, the brand tells people who we are, and I think it was an intention that people would buy into the authenticity of what we are, and I think that's really showed to everybody, and it's bought in that customer loyalty, and it's building that traction and that following. People are referring us themselves, everything's been and I think that it really is core. And then when you've got that value proposition right and they see it, people, you know, the customer, the whole experience, they see you doing good, then you know it really starts building something. And I think that I'm glad we've got that right. We've got a lot more work to do on that, but I think it really is key around that brand and that story and what people can buy in. And I think that's going to, as more commercial organisations come into the space and use it maybe as a marketing tool to attract, oh, by the way, we do good in, or we give X percentage. But I think the core of what makes you a social enterprise and what you do will really be able to start is how we really sell that to people, or give us, you know, a stance again so we can lead. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Jillian, do you want to come back on what?
Yes, I mean, what I would say is one of my takeaways from this thing this morning, I've been involved in a few of these discussions lately, is this thing about people are going to be buying stories now. They're going to be kind of becoming part of a story. And when I think of people I know, even if they haven't thought about this before, I could see them getting this. I'm not sure if it was Regis's film, so I do apologise, Regis, if it wasn't. I mean, some beautiful film coming out of Rwanda, talking about the story behind a product and the person behind a product. And I'm almost thinking sort of in a kind of a new model, but sort of, you know, almost a film. We've all consumed so much film and stuff over the COVID period and seen how thin a lot of it is, you know, but on a level that's sort of kind of immersed us in this issue of stories. And I think the authenticity of the social enterprise story is so important. But as I said, one of my critical points is, and I do say this to Kelly and Regis who are successful, is, and I think this about individuals I brand as social entrepreneurs who haven't got businesses, but they're individuals, is sometimes we're not good at articulating in a really powerful way what that passion is. And sometimes we're a bit shy. And I honestly don't think people without authenticity, no, let me put this another way. I don't want people without authenticity to muscle into this space. I want new social entrepreneurs, and I want the existing social entrepreneurs who've got the track record to really be able to articulate their authenticity in creative and powerful ways that make it clear to people, don't come into this space unless you're genuine. Don't do this. And I don't mean that in a boastful way or I'm better than you. I don't mean that, but I just mean really honor their authenticity and what they've achieved, because I think that's the story people are going to be more and more buying, actually, as much as the product.
Thank you. So storytelling becomes a really powerful narrative and an authentic story for people to tell, as you said, the people behind the brand. So Regis, you're one of the people behind a successful Rwandan brand and maybe, as you say, a made in Rwanda export. What do your advice to people out there who are listening from around the world now in terms of social entrepreneurship? What do you think? What is it that you think you need to be in the COVID era to be an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur? What's the mindset you need to have?
what I can say is two kind of business. One, it's a business from the heart and the business from stomach. So when you want to really to be in a social enterprise, you have to be heart or business oriented instead of being a stomach business oriented. Because when you want to go with, when you are hungry and you want to feed your stomach, you can even go through the shortcuts and do something wrong just to feed your stomach. But when you are doing the things from your heart, it's easy to just wait instead of focusing much on what you want to feed in your stomach that time. You can create something that will feed you and other people later instead of that time. So what I can say during this COVID, we are in a special period. So we have to also do something or do anything special in a special way. So we have to care everyone, to have to think about other people. We have to think about, you know, the community and the people who are in the dangers, who are very vulnerable. So for example, on our side, when you look at farmers who were not even thinking about to get money from these sweet potatoes, now they are able to buy the insurance from their kids, their families. They can be able to pay the school fees because of what we just created. We didn't know that before, but now we are getting some feedback from them. So as Jillian said, storytelling is the key, but you have to create that story. If we don't have that story, we're not having something to say. So let's create that story that impacts the community rather than just ourselves as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sure, Jillian, do you want to say something on
that? I think that's wonderful, the way that Regis has expressed it, much better than I could, of course, because he's the real deal. But what I would say about that is, doesn't it make you wonder? You know, it's a bit like COVID's made us wonder, why weren't we doing all this virtual stuff before instead of burning up the emails? Doesn't it make you wonder why businesses have not made their communities, you know, and the communities they've served and supported more of their value proposition in the past? It makes you wonder why businesses have not really done that, accepting often quite superficial and rather instrumental ways, and not in the meaningful way that Regis is saying, like we're part of these people's lives. We're actually, our product and what we do is part of these people's lives, and it's part of their dream, it's part of their ambition, it's part of their journey. And I know this all varies depending on what product and service you do. I'm aware of that, but I think as a principle, it's still worth thinking about. You know, why haven't our communities of who've been part of our business success been a more prominent part of that story?
And that's true. And so for you, Kelly, as well, you know, if you look at your website, you're about using local materials, local ingredients, I think. So again, is that important for you, that storytelling of supporting the local community and the local people? Does that come through for you? Is that an important part of your business?
It has, and I think that's something we've been trying. We've been really keen to share that story, that actually on the face of it you might look at us and say we donate profits back to really good causes, which we do, and they make a difference, but also the story is around, actually as a business we place social impact at the heart of everything we do. So the way we buy, so we were actively looking at either buying local or social. So I think we spent over £100,000 last year putting social enterprises into our supply chain, and even to a point where our wash bag, for example, is made from recycled fire hose with a good collaboration with Elvis and Krez. And we didn't just accept that the fire hose could come from, we wanted it to come from Wales because that's what we'd said we would do. So we fought for 12 months to try and get Welsh government to able to, basically they were putting tons and tons of fire hose into landfill, and because we came along to them and said can we use that fire hose and recycle it and repurpose it and stop it? They turned around and said, because you're going to generate money, the answer is no. So we had to fight and fight to get, and we got it through, because that's what we believed. And we thought, if you know, how many times are people going to walk away from this because they can't deal with the bureaucracy? It's not acceptable. So hopefully that fighting has managed to change certain things. So I think the story that we're all saying here is about, actually, it's not just about what we do with our profit. It's about what we've done within our business, the way we buy, the way we source products, ingredients, the way we employ our staff, the way we treat our staff, because you can't say that your core values are around kindness, and if that's not happening on a day-to-day basis in the way you interact with people. So I think we're really keen to tell that story around, actually, there's good running through all of this, and actually, why haven't you been doing this before? Why aren't you doing this? What changes are you going to make in your businesses to be able to do things better?
Sure, absolutely. And that's the challenge. And the challenge for social entrepreneurs is how you perhaps balance social impact that you can achieve while making that profit, so you can then plow more profit back into creating social impact. Indeed, we have a question from Pacific Garbo in Kigali, who asks, you know, great discussions happening here. Thank you, Pacific. As a social entrepreneur, Kelly, who runs, you know, a luxury brand, he's asking about how have you managed to balance both social impact and achieving profit in the past year or so?
By getting our margins right. And it's really important. And I had this conversation yesterday, that often people lose sight of the margins, and how we unapologetically make the margins that we need to be able to sustain the business and grow, but also enable us to do the good. And if you lose sight of those margins, and sometimes people don't look, you have got to remain focused on that, because that enables you to do it. And it also, when it comes to growing, it makes it attractive to investors or people to be able to back the next, able to.
Sure. I'm sure I've got some problem with my line, Kelly, but I got the gist of the answer, and it is making margins, as Jillian says. You know, something often we get about the passion, and we still need to recognise that we're still running a business. So there's still things that we must learn from the commercial sector and not let our mates. I know it's coming up to 2 minutes to 4. Can I ask my my moderator if we've got how much longer you would like us to continue?
Daryl, I want to say one word.
Carry on. Please, Anna, you're back online. Great, thank you.
Well, I used this time to drive my son for a COVID test. Yeah, schools are reopening in UK. I use this time. You know, I'm also an investor, and I also sit on the boards. I love all the things Jillian and Kelly were talking. I only invest and hire for passion. If you have passion, you'll succeed. One thing which I'm seeing in the boardrooms, all of us who are spending money on CSR want to now spend money on social causes, on social stories. So if people have a good story within your community, if you have an Accenture or MasterCard, I'll talk to you about MasterCard. There's a lot of work with MasterCard Africa, the foundations. All of them are looking for social entrepreneurs. So I would imagine that the funding will no longer just be grants from government. It will also be from the commercial sector, corporate sector. So that is the partnership which I feel is very powerful. I think Jillian probably knows a lot more. As I said, I wear various hats. But I am seeing, as I said in the beginning, the blurring of boundaries. I mean, my daughter is leaving a consulting company to join social finance, to join a social entrepreneurship. Because I can see people feel that they can add a lot more value to society. And corporates are also starting to feel. So all of you are doing a fantastic job. Great. I can feel the passion. There's anything I can do to help connect you to various stakeholders, If you want to bring something to country called Malawi, finance minister is my fellow director. I can get you into the country as well as Nigeria. So thank you all, and thank you, Daryl. Sorry for being a spoil.
Thank you. No, we'll talk soon. Thank you, and good luck with the vaccine. And there you go, Kelly Regis. I will make sure that we'll connect you with Anoreg after the event, although of course we've already connected you through emails anyway. Thank you so much for the discussion. Jillian, it was great for you to join us, as always. Thank you. Kelly, wonderful work that you're doing, really, with the Good Wash Company and making some great causes and making, as you said, championing social entrepreneurship in Wales and really making a difference and trying to break through those barriers is so important right now. So thank you, Kelly, for being with us. And Regis, as always, you know, it's always great to hear your story of the struggle of the sweet potato, the useless product, becoming a hero through the Vita A brand that you're developing for Rwanda, but also beyond Rwanda very soon as well. So thank you everyone for joining us, and of course Anorag for his insights from an investment perspective. It's been really very valuable, and we hope that people that have tuned in have found the session of value and interest as well. Thank you so much, everybody. And now it gives me great pleasure to pass you over to my colleague, Joy.
And just to add my thanks to Daryl, to each one of our speakers, to Kelly, to Regis, Jillian, to Anurag, inspiring to hear the stories, and it is the stories that really count and stay with you, isn't it? So thank you very much for sharing. And in the very first in this series on social enterprise, when we look forward to hearing more about social impact and other topics in the ones ahead. A quick reminder, if you're interested in joining an MSc, a postgraduate in social enterprise, we have a special session just for inquiries about that on the 16th of March. But I'll leave you now, and thank you all very much for attending, and thank you again to all of our panelists. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Daryl, congratulations for your marriage. Yeah, it was yesterday. I saw some beautiful photos yesterday. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Keep that private. We're still online. Cheers. Take care. Bye.
Bye.